All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. I'm Nicole Baldwin, board certified family nurse practitioner, and my good friend and colleague, Kelly White, also board certified nurse practitioner. And today we have a special guest, Kirsten Karchmer. Did I say that correctly?
Perfectly.
Okay. And so she is with us today, and she's going to talk about something that has been her passion for the last 8 years. And it's something that definitely pertains to what we're doing. We see women that are struggling with fertility issues, women that want to get pregnant, that want to get pregnant again, and all the things. So we're going to let Kirsten here take over, and we're going to let her tell you what she does, how she can help you or someone that you know that may need her assistance. So go ahead, Kirsten, if you could just give us some insight to what the heck's going on and how you got to where you are and why you're so
hmm
passionate about it.
Sure. So, quick background. I was a competitive athlete and my whole life I was a gymnast. And then when I was 19, I got diagnosed with MS. And I was really sick. I couldn't walk without a cane. I was really, really sick. But the medications were very early then. And I just was afraid to start taking them. I was just like, there's no longitudinal studies yet. And, just feel nervous about it. But wasn't into alternative medicine anyway. And ended up going to an acupuncturist against my will. And I was like telling my friend, I was like, that's crap. Like it's going to a psychic basically. And she's like, no, no. Like, what if it could help you? And what that doctor told me changed the course of my life. He said,
Wow.
look, here's the thing. When you were born, your body was really robust. Everything just worked, right? You had plenty of energy. Everything was taken care of. But then you trained like crazy your whole childhood, like trained in a hot Texas gym until I threw up most days. And what was interesting and problematic is my father was he's not alive anymore, but he was very proud of that. He's like, you are so tough. You are so unstoppable. You will like break yourself to win. And I think this is actually a big problem today, right? Because we have this hustle culture, we have all this thing, which is not useful for women's bodies. I don't know about men's bodies. I mean, I know about male fertility, but I know for females, this is not working. And so, I decided that literally I was about to go to Korea. I had a job teaching there. And I was like, well, when I come back, I'm going to go to acupuncture school. And when I was in acupuncture school, I saw that every single symptom in Chinese medicine about reproduction and a period is diagnostically relevant. The days between bleeding, the timing of ovulation, the consistency, color, quality of cervical discharge, the amount, the type, and the severity of PMS, the volume of blood, the color of blood, clotting, cramping, temperatures, and a whole bunch of other ones tell us everything. It's kind of cheeky, but like it's really like checking under the hood. Like you can understand so much of what's going on in a woman's body. And so I opened one of the first acupuncture centers in the US for fertility and then ended up being the first board certified reproductive acupuncturist. And I ended up treating over 10,000 infertile women. But then that was like over 20-ish years. I read a study in 2016 that said that less than 3% of couples could afford fertility treatments. And I cried because I was like, I'm such a jerk. Like, I didn't know that, but still, like, I could have done a little bit of research. And I knew that a lot of people couldn't afford our services. And in that moment, I was like, I'm going to try to build some technology to help make fertility affordable for all people. I'm going to take what I learned over and over, 200 patients a week, just fertility patients. You will learn a lot about one subspecialty. And then we built the first version of the app. And while we were building it, I was like, if it's 50% as good as me, it's worth doing. Of course, we're not going to be able to get it like as good as me. I'm me, kind of with ego. And they're like, okay, so we did it. We did a pilot. So 105 patients coming to me to the clinic twice a week for 4 months, 105 women, all infertile, no human interaction, only using the app. And that's before even all the AI was baked into it. And after the data scientists came back, they're like, oh, we got the analysis finished. And I was like, it didn't work, did it? And they're like, it worked. And I was like, did she get close to me? We call her she, the AI. And I was like, did she get close to me? He goes, actually, you got close to her. She beat you by 6%. And I was like, what in the royal F? No way. There's no way she beat me. And they're like, pretty consistently across the board. And and it brought two things up for me. First, there's a saying in Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is full of sayings. The good doctor treats the patient, the great doctor treats society, but the master will make herself obsolete. And that saying kind of saved saved me on that day because I was like, well, I guess I made myself, not all acupuncturists, but I made myself obsolete in my clinic. There's no way I'm charging people $5,000 if I can charge them $15 and get better results. That seems like a no-brainer to me. And so it's really, we've been working on this for 25 years, but it's only been in the last year, 8 years, that we've been building the algorithm. It took 8 years to get to basically built a digital care team, like an AI digital twin of myself, and then a digital care team. So therapist, nutritionist, data scientist, formulator for your supplements, and that you can also interact with those all the time. And that was a super long introduction, but you kind of need to know the whole lay of the land to be able to like interact in a meaningful way.
I love
I
that.
love that.
So
Yes.
something you said really, really spoke to me about hustle. And I grew up very poor on a dairy farm. My dad worked very
Mm.
hard for very little. My grandfather did the same, worked very hard for very little, but they knew how to hustle. And I saw how hard they worked, and I wanted to work that hard. I wanted to make sure in my life that I worked that hard, or if it's even possible, harder, because I wanted to make sure that I was the best me. But as I got into medicine, I became somewhere along the way, and I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if I think it maybe is a time thing just because of how we work. But society has, because now we're social media. Back then there was no internet, right? So hustling
Yeah.
meant a very different thing. But in today's world, hustling is worn as a badge of honor, and that's okay. That's okay. Everybody should have a hustle, right? That's good, but not to the point of burnout. And so wearing hustle as a badge of honor can be a tricky thing to balance. And I know that's something that you said was, just it's insane. So
We interviewed 16,000 women last year. And the first question that we ask in our consultation, both in person and in the app, is what's your energy like on a 1 to 10 without caffeine or exercise for 2 days? And 8%, I like to see 8 out of 10, like that's for optimal fertility, 8 out of 10. Only 8% said their energy was 8 or better. 50% said 5 or below.
wow.
And when I speak with women, I'm like, well, tell me about your day. And like, well, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and then I go to the gym and then I come back and I make breakfast for my family. And then I do this and then I make lunches for everybody. And then I go to my job and then I work, 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 work. Do you take a lunch? No, I eat at my desk. Then I get done at 5 o'clock. I go to the grocery store and then I get stuff. Then I come home and I cook dinner and then I do the groceries and then I do the laundry. And then it's 9 o'clock and then I watch TV for an hour and I fall asleep after drinking a bunch of wine because they're so stressed. That is no life.
Yes.
That is no life. And yet I think it's around I think it's around like we have social media telling us like that we need to look a certain way, we need to dress a certain way. Like it's really kind of impacted individuality, I think. Even my daughter who's 20 who lives with me, she said the other day, she goes, when I was in junior high, everybody was really ugly and dorky because we didn't have social media yet. Very early. And so we didn't have any training. But she goes, but there was a lot of individualism. She used to like to wear a front ponytail, not in junior high, but in elementary school, like mismatched socks. She's like, but because of social media, everybody feels like it's becoming very homogenous. And that homogeneity is expensive. And so then you have to work harder to have more money to buy the stuff to, no, 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 and so you get into this
Vicious circle.
vicious, not virtuous, vicious cycle. And then, everyone's fertility and health is really plummeting. And we're like, I don't know, it's unexplainable. Like, it's totally explainable. I've never in 25 years seen a case of unexplained infertility that I couldn't explain. Doesn't mean I could fix it, but it wasn't like, I have no idea why this person isn't getting pregnant. It's never happened, not even a single time.
Is
I mean,
this
I've been like,
why? Sorry, go ahead.
go, no, no, you good.
Is this why I've heard, and this is just anecdotal, when people quit trying is when they get pregnant because the
I
stress
don't,
of
yeah,
trying?
I don't know. It's like I think that certainly when we're stressed, everything gets constricted, including our blood vessels, right? Which, you see people who are super stressed, they'll have a lot of clotting in their menstrual blood. When you look at their basal body temperature line, if they're really stressed and have a lot of PMS, it'll be very sawtooth versus very smooth, right? The liver is not metabolizing the hormones well, and you see this disruption. And so I don't know why they get pregnant on their, because typically you have to fix all the things before they get pregnant. So I would suspect that the ones who are getting pregnant on trips, we basically built a predictive analytics tool to predict the likelihood of natural conception. And if their score was above 60, they had an exponentially higher likelihood of getting pregnant. If your score is 70, I expect you to be pregnant in the next 4 or 5 months. Because a perfectly healthy 18-year-old will get pregnant about every 4 months. And so, kind of lost my train of thought because we were talking about so many things. We'll just keep going to the next thing.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got off too. So,
It's
so,
okay.
so tell us about your app, about what it does, and all the things.
Yeah. So what we're building is we don't like to call it an app. And the reason for that is that I think that typically what we think of as apps are trackers and fertility monitors, which I hate. I think they should actually be illegal. That's a whole other topic we can talk about. Because fertility trackers, they ingest information and they just report back, right? They're expensive and they're extremely stress producing for women who are struggling to get pregnant. And what they're teaching women to me is very unethical because they're saying it's okay if you ovulate on cycle day 50. We'll catch it with this expensive strip, even though by cycle day 50, for ovulating cycle day 50, that egg's no good anymore. The data is abundantly clear that past cycle day 21, the egg has started to break down. We see significant increased risk for miscarriage and just not getting pregnant in the first place. But no one is talking about that. That infuriate. They're like, I've had 13 miscarriages, and then I was like, telling like what's going on. And then you start seeing all these underlying issues that could be repaired very easily before they try to get pregnant so that we can make sure that they stay pregnant, which for us, that's the only number that we look at. So this app, again, if you imagine, it's a virtual care team. So you start off, you download the app, and it's kind of janky, right? It's still a first version of it, but it gets the job done, right? Increased women's likelihood of natural conception by between 150 to 260% in 4 months with no human interaction, no labs, no pharmaceuticals, like all diet, lifestyle, behavioral health, highly targeted. So you go through kind of a long assessment. You're collecting all the data so that the app Kai, that's Kirsten AI, can figure out what are all the underlying issues that we need to work with, even if they're tiny, right? And then she figures out all the underlying issues, and then she groups them into patterns related to energy, related to blood, related to temperature, related to hormones. And then she builds with the team, they build a curated, customized plan. So what behaviors do we want to start working on to improve that? What foods? So she get a chef, and the chef's like, tell me what you like, what you don't like, what week is your period, how many people are eating. We designed the chef to make it very easy for people. So really you're only cooking dinner. You make something for breakfast that you have every day. Snacks are kind of you can make a bunch of, and then dinner makes enough for lunch for both of you for the next day because we want to make sure that we're improving hubby's health, even if he's not even trying to improve it in the first place. We have a therapist, right, who's trained in cognitive behavioral therapy and compassion therapy because the stress and the grief related with fertility and miscarriage is quite intense, and we want to keep people out of flight or fright. So, every time that they're like, see something on these stupid trackers and they're like, oh my God, my PGD is 47.6. What the hell does that mean? Oh my gosh, Google, Google, Google. They say, take a screenshot of it. They send it to me like, what does this mean? What do I do? We solved for that. So, going back to your question, why we don't want to call this an app is because what we're calling it is the next operating system of women's health. So, while we're starting infertility, the platform will ultimately meet the needs of all women from before they start their first period through postpartum, and because it's an operating system versus an app is because it's a system, right? The user comes on, she shares data. We have a wearable that's also sharing data. We have a face scan that's coming out in the next month to do body composition, heart rate variability, blood pressure, so that we can use that in pregnancy to predict adverse birth events. And then it's taking that information, analyzing it, and making a hypothesis about how to repair it, telling her, here's how you repair it. And we want you to track every single thing that you're doing and not doing. And when they're tracking that, then when she comes back, the app checks in with her next week and it can say, like, hey, I was looking that I know we're working on energy, but you're still only getting 5 hours of sleep. How can I help you? Is it because you can't fall asleep or stay asleep or you don't wake up rested? And then she says, I can't stay asleep. And then she might say, okay, well, tell me about your caffeine intake. Let's start trying to figure out why you're not falling asleep, and starts just problem solving, just like you and I would do in the clinic. You guys and I don't want to say y'all, I'm a Texan.
Same. It's
And then
okay.
figuring like, oh,
Kelly's Texan, and I'm a
check
y'all
this.
girl.
Okay, great. Then we'll say it. I have a bunch of team all over the world. And at first they're like, what is y'all? I'm like, y'all is the greatest word that was ever invented, practically. It's
Amen.
very hard when you're talking to two people. What do you say, like, you all? That seems super weird.
Or use.
Anywho, use, like my parents from New York, use guys. That's what they used to
These
say. Use
guys.
guys.
Yeah.
Use guys.
Canadians, these guys.
Use guys. Yeah, they're up in upstate New York.
Yep.
So anyway, so get this bi-directional. So what's happening is the AI is seeing a presentation, a complex presentation. It's analyzing it. It's making a hypothesis about how to fix the system, not the symptom. That's a big difference, right? We're not trying to fix low progesterone. This is not a medical device, it's a wellness platform. And so it doesn't have to fix low progesterone because the low progesterone is coming from low temperatures. Like if you have your patients and you see, oh, I wonder how their progesterone is. Well, you can check progesterone on cycle day 21, but remembering that progesterone is so pulsatile. If we check it at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the next day, it's going to be completely different. But you can see that if the temperatures are getting to 98 within a couple of days of ovulation and staying there sustainably, 90% of the time their progesterone is fine and it's stable throughout the month, not just on one day. So, anyways, the algorithm's looking at, then it's telling her what to do. If she's doing it and it's not working, then the algorithm is learning in this presentation, this recommendation actually doesn't work. Or in this, when we try to get her to stop drinking coffee, how we recommended to stop drinking coffee is not working. So we need to come up with a new one, and the algorithm needs to learn. So we get more data, we get more input, we get more output, we get more results. That feeds the data, the AI can learn, it gets better, it gets more efficient, we waste people's time less, and so on and so on. So it's pretty cool. Also, you get a formulator. So based on the information, like people always say, what supplements should I take for fertility? I said none. There are no supplements that are good for fertility apart from a high quality prenatal. There are a lot of high quality supplements that can be really effective if we know the underlying issues that we need to target. People always show me this huge basket. Like, here's my supplements my naturopath told me to take. It's like 40 supplements. Like, why are you taking this? I don't know. Why are you taking this? I don't know. Have you felt different? I don't even know. Right. I'm like, usually 4 or 5, 6 supplements would be a ton. And we figured out a way. We had our supplements. We used to have a clinical grade line of supplements. They were really expensive. Like think like Metagenics, Thorne, super high quality. And I just didn't want to skimp, even though everything we're doing is to try to make it more affordable. But this was a piece that wasn't working because I was like, it's like $400 a month for supplements. And I'm not here to like make a fortune. I'm here to win the Nobel Prize. Actually, that's my ultimate goal because I want to prove that you can take care of women's health for almost nothing. That's my goal is to prove that we can do almost all of it. We can put all of the power back into women's hands. We can make women the hero of the story. And actually we can make the work of our physicians and PAs way easier because if we clear out all the lifestyle problems, they're not coming to you with 1,000 symptoms like I've got this and I've got this and I've got this and I've got this and I've got, and then it starts like it's very hard to make a good diagnosis because there's actually it's very convoluted. So if we can send them to the doctors when we're not able to make an impact, then the physicians can see that and see like, oh, there's like 3 main symptoms. This is a lot easier, and we know this is not related to lifestyle, right? Then our diagnostic ability becomes way more precise. Healthcare gets more efficient. But anyway, so in the supplements, we were able to partner with a new manufacturer, same quality supplements. You can basically get individual packs made, like for each day of the month, with the supplements that are specifically targeted to your specific underlying issues for about $50. And we have a coupon, save 40, you get 40% off your first order. What I've just been telling people, I was like, there's no margin for us on this hardly. It is outcomes. I need outcomes to prove that when you do this, right, consistently in about 10,000 users, that way we can have people's insurance paying for this.
That's amazing. I'm going to Kelly, what are your thoughts? Like I know this is your wheelhouse. One of them, I mean, you're just, obviously have multiple talents, but this is one of your wheelhouses. So what are your thoughts? What's going through your head?
So I am sitting here just listening to the perfect blend of women's health meets functional medicine and a one-stop shop. Like it sounds like the perfect blend of functional medicine with an underlying twist. Like you are taking all the things that I spend an hour digging in with a patient, like literally a patient's first visit with me is an hour, hour and a half. It can even push 2 hours going through all of, like you said, they come to you with a laundry list of problems. And I literally go through a patient's review of systems from head to toe. And I go through every single thing with them and we touch on it. And then at the end of all of those things we've touched on, we go back and we pick the top three things. Because, like you said, when you narrow down all those things, there's typically three big ones that are the resounding problem. Like that's
Yes.
truly the medical diagnosis. And I tell them, once we clean up these things, the rest of that stuff will fall into place. And once they get going with, like you said, the sleep and the nutrition and the diet and the exercise and the caffeine and the like, you get all those things piled up, the rest of the stuff starts to fix itself. And so then you can narrow down, there's truly only two or three big medical diagnoses that we have to address. And it what takes me an hour and a half or an hour for each patient. This program that you've designed could essentially do that through this replication of learning this person over and over and over at the leisure of the person doing it, as opposed to coming in with a structured hour and a half visit, with a provider. And so it sounds like something that could, at the end of it, tie into a pretty bow, something for someone like me that I can just dig in and be like, okay, the program has tied all of this up and sent to me.
Mm.
Now I have top three things to deal with.
So it's interesting. So we have a web app that was the first version that's very ugly, but there's a piece of it that hasn't gotten moved into the iOS app yet. And it's basically just an AI version of Acupuncture Me. So they can take their phone and share it with with their clinician. And for you guys, you would need a little bit different, but I'm thinking we could probably create that for you where there's a lot of acupuncturists who don't have very much experience treating fertility, and it's actually quite complex to be effective. And so what we want to do is just like, say you live in a really small town in Maine and there's only one acupuncturist and they haven't treated very much fertility. Well, we want to make sure that that resource is going to help so that acupuncturists can chat with AI me and say, what's this person's Chinese medicine diagnosis? And it'll explain, not just say, it'll say a whole report like they have qi deficiency because this, and this, they have blood deficiency, this, what are the herbs I should use? What point should I use? But we could do the same thing from a functional point of view. Maybe you'll help me tell me what you want in there because I only know what I want as an acupuncturist. So I'm happy to do that. It is, I mean, part of this, it's interesting because what we used to do in the app was actually it would be like a chat interface, the assessment, because I wanted it to feel like my consultation was like yours. It was very long. But if you got through the consultation, there was so much teaching that happened that at the end of it, people were like, whoa, I'm
That's a
coming
lot.
here. But they get a lot. They're like they see because at first they're like, I don't think anything's wrong, and then you detail all the little tiny things, and you've got this whole pile of stuff to work on, and then they're like, okay, I need to get to work, you know. But it was just too long in the app, so we switched it to a survey at least for now because people weren't finishing it. They were dropping off me like, well, how many questions? Holy crap! It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, how do we make how do we use AI to make everybody more efficient? To allow our clinicians to use the best parts of their brain and not and just eliminate the repetitive things that aren't actually changing the outcomes for our patients. Like they need to get the education, but do you need to be the person delivering it to them to get the outcome?
Do you feel like moving forward, especially like Nicole and I we're seeing a lot of transitional patients right now. So we have this period of time where we have patients that are very willing and want a lot of technology and AI and don't waste my time and I want gimme, 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 gimme. And but then we still have this clientele that are, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They don't want that. They want me to spend an hour with them and talking to them and holding their hand. Like we have a patient liaison who will spend an hour on the phone with them, and that's what they want. So, what do you feel like in your research? Do you feel like patients or people at large are ready for something like this, or do you think that you're still going to be like we're in a time where we have a transitional population of patients where it's still going to be one or the other?
Probably. What's interesting is the people that I see the most resistance from are the young ones.
Really?
Like my children are 20 and 22, and anytime I show them like cool AI things I'm making, they're like, oh, gross, I hate AI.
My daughter is 27, and the other day she told me the same thing. She goes, "I just think it's creepy, Mom. AI is just creepy. It's creepy."
Yep. So I think there's two sides. It's like the older ones. The thing that's unique and why we started with fertility not only because that's what I spent my career. I mean, we have patents on like applying this to all the same principles to all of women's health, but because women who really can't get pregnant are way more compliant. And so they will put up with a little bit of a janky app, that they'll put up with even
Desperate.
they don't want to
Desperate.
they don't want to use yeah, they don't want to use the AI, but they want to have a baby and they don't want to spend $25,000. They're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways because I even though I don't want it because this seems cheaper and I like the idea that I don't have to take a bunch of chemicals. And I always say I have no aversion to surgeries, IUIs, IVFs, but I think that we need to help people to get ready to stay pregnant. We need to take the pressure and the focus off the BFP, they call it, like the big fat positive, because, infertile women will miscarry at least 40% of the time. I think we can make that much lower if we do the work to help people to prepare to stay pregnant. What I saw, in 20 years, three things have to work to stay pregnant. You need enough energy. Fatigue is highly correlated with miscarriage. You need temperatures that get to the 98s and stay there after ovulation without any herbs or any supplements to do that. It is such a strong predictor of whether the person will stay pregnant or not. And then we need lining. We need 4 days of bleeding, soaking a tampon or a pad about every 4 hours with no cramping, clotting, or spotting. Those people will stay pregnant. So these people, they have all that. They're not getting pregnant. This was when IUI makes a total sense to me. They have 1 day of bleeding. Their cycle is 50 days long. It doesn't make sense to me because if they have a 50-day cycle, they probably have insulin resistance or sugar issues or adrenal issues. We probably need to repair because we're going to have an egg quality issue. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It does to me. Yeah. Yeah,
It does
absolutely.
makes more sense to Kelly than me, but I definitely get what you're putting down. I absolutely do. I think it's incredible because just you creating this is something that is so much more reachable to patients than the thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's, I think, what the core of what we do as well. We I got into telehealth for one of the reasons was we want to help patients in rural areas who wouldn't otherwise have access to care. Sometimes you're in a small town and there's one or none acupuncturists, or there are, no fertility specialists that, it is, world renowned or whatever. And
Or
so
just good.
yeah, they're fair to good, right? Which is, everybody's, learning. And so sometimes it just is what it is. And so this really just gets people, just gets them engaged where they're at. It meets them where they're at. And I really, really like that.
Thank you. I
So
like it too. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so where are you at on this journey? Like, when can folks expect to see this groundbreaking technology be accessible to them?
They can go right to the Apple Store and download it today. Conceivable with Kai. But if you just look up Conceivable, you can find that. Yeah, they can start using it today. We're gearing up for a whole new version that'll be ready in about 2 months, but it's perfectly good right now. It can still do all the things that we talked about. What's coming is this space scan technology, which I'm super excited about. We do have a wearable. We have a ring that's similar to the Aura ring. It's the first ring that can non-invasively measure glucose.
I love that.
Monitor, not measure, monitor. So it's not FDA cleared device for like a diabetic or using for insulin. In that survey that we did with 16,000 women, we asked them, what's your blood sugar, high, low, or normal? Like
They don't know.
literally 7 or 8 people knew.
They don't
And
know.
because it's so tied to reproductive outcomes, I was like, well, we should figure out how to measure that. And I know people don't want to use a, you know, a,
Yeah.
a non-invasive, but it's expensive, right? Every place, every little thing that you add on adds a more expense. And so how can we affordably get all of this data for the patients so that we're helping them to heal their bodies? And what I like most about what we're doing, just from the feedback that we've been getting for women, is that like when I used to be an acupuncturist and they would get pregnant, people would say, "Oh, Kirsten got me knocked up. Kirsten got me
I
pregnant,
love
whatever."
that.
Yeah.
But I don't like that because I don't want to be the hero of the story. I want them to be the hero of the story. And
I
why
get
the
that.
app
I get
beat
that.
why the app beat me was because when you go to acupuncture, they lay on the table and they get a treatment and maybe they get a bottle of herbs and they say, eat more iron because we need to make more blood. Like, okay, yes or no, maybe, right? But when they're doing the app, it's all on them. They have to learn about themselves. We make it so easy, and I mean, it's not hard learning, but what happens is you start to understand how your body works and how your body currently isn't working and how it's related to what you're doing, and that actually you have all the control. You have all the power and all the control to get it the way that you want it. Like 85% of course, there's things that like I'm never going to get rid of my MS, but I can get it pretty handled, right? And so that then they become transformed because of that journey. When you do it yourself, you're a different person after that. And so then hopefully they're a different kind of mother, right? And then you have a generational impact, right? Those mothers are now feeding their children different. When their daughters are having periods, they're talking about them differently. Although we'll have apps for that, like experiences, we're calling them, not apps. So that we're tying all of those pieces together, both for this generation and future generations.
I love that. So if we have a patient that is struggling with fertility, we can tell them to download the app Conceivable, and it's $15 a month. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and the first month is free. So they can, and what I tell people is like download it for free and work it. Like often when we get things that are free, we're lazy about it. But think like I'm going to get every drop of goodness out of this and see what happens. It's not possible. If you do everything that the app tells you and it's not that much, like probably you can do everything in 15 or 20 minutes a day. If you follow the app, you will see your score go up and you will start to feel differently. Take your supplements. I think the first pack is like $25. It's different because different things, ingredients will be in it, but we try to make that first experience such a no-brainer so that all they have to do is try. So they start to see, oh God, I did a little bit every day and I'm really different. My period was really different. The blood was different, the color, the consistency, the volume, the timing. And they start getting this like, I think I can, I think I can. And that's where like the flywheel starts to kick in. That gets really gorgeous.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect to you. And we will definitely be sending some patients your way just because there's a lot of women out there struggling. And this is something that any one of them can do very, very easily.
And when you win the Nobel Prize, let us know so we can support you and be there cheering you on and be excited for you because this is amazing work. And I have no doubt at all that you are going to, at some point, win that prize.
Well, that'll be fun because it's like some acupuncturist, right? I'll be an old lady by then, but like, they'll be like, and this year's Nobel Prize goes to an acupuncturist. That's weird.
That's okay.
But yeah, I don't care. I mean, mostly I just, too often, like I was on with a surgeon on a show last week, and the surgeon was like, at first he was very skeptical, and he's like, well, what's the data? And I was like talking about the data. He's like, oh, what about this data? And I was like, there's data on that too. What about this data? And then he was like, huh, you're convincing me. This is very compelling, but there is this, this mindset that it's like even when we first did the personalized packs of supplements, we only took like a 15% margin and we had a coupon for the first time and no one was buying. And I was like, what in the freak? These are so high quality and they're so affordable. People like, I emailed a bunch of people and they're like, it seems like a scam. It's too cheap. So we raised the prices, even though I didn't want to raise the prices. I wanted it to just be like, whoa, that's a baller deal. I'm going to take advantage of that. But that was too weird for people. So it is interesting interplay of like, how do you know, dance with customers and patient potential, like we don't call them patients anymore, but in a way that feels safe and comfortable to them. Certainly, suggestion from you guys makes a big impact. What I'll say is if your patients are using it, definitely like ask them if they can share it with you and look at it, and you guys can download it too and play around with it. Happy to send you a code too if you just want to use it and see what happens. But anything that I can do to make like as you're looking at it in your patient's use, like what you're saying, Kelly, like a report of basically these are the most important things. I'll make that because however we can make the seamless integration between what's happening in the app and the Western medical community, we help women more. Right. So the better that we can serve each other, the better women's health will become. We'll have less infertility, less miscarriages, healthier women, happier, and hopefully even more powerful women. I'm always like, if 82% of women have life-interrupting PMS and cramping every month, I was like, what happens to society when we get rid of that?
I
When we
just
unleash,
I just see this
but
being able to be like once you have perfected and you're so close, this, you know, conception and you've got this all down and you've won your prize, then I'm going to come back to you and you're going to create a hormone therapy, perimenopause, menopausal program for those women. And it's just going to be fantastic. I see it. I just see it. It's going to be great.
Well, maybe you can help me with it because it isn't, it's in our playbook of like, it'll be before the Nobel Prize. It'll be this year that
Okay,
so
I'm
they'll just,
excited. I would love to help you with that because that is where I am right now. Nicole and I are both on the perimenopausal, not so fun bandwagon, and I do a ton of hormone therapy with women, and perimenopause and menopause is a huge, huge, huge soapbox of mine. And I spend a lot of time with women managing that time of their life because it is something that, very much like fertility, we don't talk about it. Women don't talk about it. And it goes
probably
back.
less than fertility
Oh,
even.
yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to what you mentioned earlier with that hustle culture. We carry that into our 40s and 50s, and we continue to try to be that woman while our testosterone levels drop and our estrogen levels drop, and like all of our hormones just naturally like go away, and we're fighting this uphill battle of fatigue and exhaustion and bone loss and muscle loss, and it's just it is awful. And so I spend a lot of time dealing with that. And so I see your program being something that would benefit that class of women immensely.
Yes, especially because also that therapy piece, right? So that they can get emotional support because you feel so, I mean, I'm 56, like you feel so crazy sometimes,
Yeah.
you're like, I had a period of a year where I just did not have a brain. I thought I was convinced I had Alzheimer's. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, I would be in the middle of a consultation and then be like, what were we talking about? Like just, it was horrible. And I'm a clinician just like you guys. And still, it's really, it's a big lift, but it's really important and it lasts a long time.
Yes. Like I'm
They
45.
think it's like 1 year, like, oh, I went through menopause. No, no, no. It's like 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm 45, and this last weekend I was texting Nicole and I was like, I had a major meltdown. Like I
Mm.
finally had to look at my husband and go, stop asking me what's wrong. I need you to stop asking. Like, just stop.
You went down to murder town, man.
Yes, I was like, please just stop asking me. It is not you. Go away.
I was like, it must be in the air or those like something because like a few days before the weekend, like I had gotten up and there was just like one little thing just and I'm pretty like we are pretty happy-go-lucky, glass half full people,
Yes.
but I was just like off the chain. Like, what? I don't even, who is this person? I don't know. And I'm asking Kelly, I'm like, because I started hormone therapy. I'm like, is this like a side effect of that? Like, I'm losing my mind. So I think this, yes, this will definitely
Yeah.
go from conception to the other to the other side.
Walk women through from beginning to end. I see this program being something that women could use literally from beginning to end of life. I see it.
Okay, well, I'm coming back to you in a couple months. Well, probably like 6 months, because
I'm
I
here.
will need
I'm your
help.
girl.
I will definitely need help for this. So we'll have you. So all the agents, they have like basically cartoon versions of themselves. So you can be the menopause coach.
Yes, I love that.
I would love that. This
That's
has
what she
been,
does for me in real life. So we're good.
I need it too. I should do a consultation with you. I was just thinking, I did never take hormone replacement, but lately all my friends are taking it and they're
Me
feeling a lot better. And I
either.
was like,
Me either. I was against it forever. And then I'm like, okay, okay, something's got to give. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just started literally a month ago. I was like, all right, Kelly, I got to have a consult with you. I swear to God. Because I was like, I'm going to tough this out. I don't need a hormone replacement. I'm
Yes,
just
you
going
do.
to go through it. I'm going to suck it up and it'll be fine. I just got to get through it. And I was just like at a place where I'm like, okay, I need help.
Kirsten, I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I told a friend of mine the other day, I was like, if men woke up one day and all of their testosterone had suddenly disappeared,
yeah.
would be hospitalized. Yet women are expected to suddenly one day have low estrogen, no testosterone, low progesterone, and that they're just supposed to live with that. And they're just told to, oh, well, meditate or do some yoga or get some sleep or maybe you need therapy. No.
And like, I do need all those things, but I need some goddamn estrogen.
Yes. Yes. Give me some
I feel
testosterone. Like, what is the
like,
deal?
like
And
all those things
I
would be helpful, but I need something that I don't have.
Yes. And so I was like, you know what? It is just not okay that women's health is seen so differently in that light. And I think that, there was a provider not too long ago that quite literally picked a fight with the FDA about why testosterone is not approved for hormone therapy in women. Our ovaries make testosterone. We need testosterone. It's
We
part of,
need testosterone. Yeah.
and so it's not just for sexual health. It is also for our bone strength and our muscle strength and our memory and brain fog. And like it is part of who we are. And it serves so much more of an endocrine necessity. And so anyway, I can go off forever about that, but I think that having that access for women to understand you don't have to live that way. There are options, and we know enough now to know that, 20 years ago when they said, oh, it's natural to go through that process. Hormones are scary, they're going to cause cancer. We know better than that now.
Yeah, there's a lot of new data that really changes that. I'm really excited about that. I've met a lot of people that I want to like pull into like the app experience because we have a lot of work to do, you know?
Love it.
There's a lot of people who really, really need us. But, one thing that I've been thinking a lot about just the political situation. I don't want to have a big politics talk on y'all's show, but I was just thinking how like, a lot of people say like, even women are now sort of divided politically, two sides of the party, and women's rights are being, eviscerated pretty much. And I was like, I think we need to start a new political party that's just women. It's like, I stand with her. Like, we have got to start relating with all of the women on this planet as our sisters, like, irregardless of race or politics or whatever is happening in the world. Like, we're the future of the species. Not me anymore, and y'all, not y'all either, but, like in general,
None of us,
in
but other.
general. Well, because we're past having
Yeah,
children,
it's true.
but we are the progenitors of the
Mhm.
rest of the species. It's actually a really important like opportunity, responsibility, gift, call it whatever you want. It's not the only reason that we were put on Earth. Some people will say that like the only reason I was put on Earth was to have a baby. I'm like, no. First of all, I don't know if we were put on Earth or not, but like you're here. And like what could happen if we started to like get women healthy and actually find ways to find common ground with women to come together in support of all women, to protect women, to advocate for women. Like we've had, generations of people talking shit to us about how inferior we are and all these other things when it's just simply not true, you know, but we've internalized that. And so
Mhm.
because of that, we don't think we're worthy to stand up to what's happening to us medically, politically. I saw that they just removed from the human rights, and I can't remember the organization, the one that they report the human rights violations to, but now the US isn't reporting human rights violations to women anymore.
Yep.
To me, that's like so that they can start violating our human rights more. I don't know if that's true or not, but the point is how can we continue to think of ways to be like all women on this planet, like we're part of a tribe, and we're really going to have a bad situation if we don't come together and start to ask for what we want, fight for it, and get it because no one else is going to,
Well,
I think
I
looking
like the
out for each
mantra,
other
I
is
stand with
important.
her. I like that mantra, I stand
Yes.
with her. So Kirsten, you started hashtag I stand with her, and I'm right there with you because I think that
Okay.
and I respectfully disagree. I think we are a part of that because I think that women should support women through their entire lifespan from beginning to end. So I think that, I stand with her. All of us should. Agreed.
Well, I stand with you guys for sure. I can tell we're going to be friends. This is good.
Mhm.
Where are you in Texas, by the
And
way?
it is such a pleasure to meet you and learn all of what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us.
She
Thank you
asked you
very
where you were in
much.
Texas.
Oh, so I am just outside of Abilene,
Abilene is West Texas.
kind of westish central. So I'm about 3 hours, 2.5 hours west of Fort Worth on I-20.
hmm I grew up in Arlington,
Oh, yeah. So where are you at?
Austin. So I was trying to think how far we were. I could just come do my consultation with you in person.
So well, you'd have to come to my house because I'm telemedicine, but you're welcome in my house.
Oh,
You're welcome. You are about 4 hours, 4.5-ish hours south of me.
okay. That's not too bad. Yeah, we're the only state, right, where you can just drive for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and never leave.
I know, I know. And people will be like, I'll ask them, how far is it? And they're like, oh, it's quite a ways. It's like 45 minutes away. I'm like, dude, that's not far. That's like driving to the grocery store.
Yeah, and dodging tornadoes and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You
Yes.
guys, thank you so much for having me today. This has been such a great conversation. I've really, really appreciated getting to connect with you guys and to know you a little bit.
Okay, so all the women download the Conceivable app, and there is more to come with that, and it is going to just grow from here. So grow like wildfire. So thank you for joining us today, and hope you have a very blessed evening.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.